Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the man, myth, the legend, Jan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So video one, we talked about walking away from some deals, which again, kudos to you. That was the right thing to do and hard to do. Video number two, we talked about the power of seller financing. Now for the money. How the hell do you find off-market deals that are open to seller financing? Because that sounds sexy, but it can't be that easy. So what are you doing? I'll talk about what I'm doing, but what are you doing? You're a master at it.
Thanks for the kind words. I wouldn't call myself a master, but I would say I'm a master in training, you know?
Yeah. Well, you've clearly had success. I mean, I remember videos, the first series we did with all these mobile home parks and things. So, I think you're underselling a little bit, but fair enough. We can all be better.
Sure. We gotta aspire to something higher, right? So, yep. I mean, what's working for us right now, honestly, the best, and you have to know your target market. So what works for us isn't necessarily going to work for you, but in the asset classes that I play in, right? Mobile home parks, RV parks, office, commercial, light industrial, these guys and gals that we're buying from, they're near end of career, right? They own one asset or maybe a few, and they're kind of ready to throw up the towel and call it a day. They're done with the tenant headaches. They're done with the improvement headaches that are required. And I'm just getting started. I have the energy and excitement to execute on this value add. And eventually, I'll get tired of it too, right? Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm pretty stoked on it so far. So,
well, in 50 years, you're going to be tired of it. But that's
you have to think eventually you get tired of everything, right? And so you have to know your audience is what I'm getting to with that point, right? And so my audience isn't on Instagram. We're not doing Facebook retargeting on these folks. We're picking up the phone and we're calling them, right? Yeah. I don't like being on the phone because I know myself and I don't have the patience required to build the rapport required to close the deal. So, I have, and this is near the end of the funnel, but right, we have, before we actually have a list and skip trace it, or after we actually have a list and skip trace it, we have cold callers in Costa Rica, three people dialing 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day, right? Picking up the phone. It's a multi-line dialer. And so we have, tens of thousands of leads with, hundreds of thousands of phone numbers attached to them, and they're calling. And then as soon as someone raises their hand and says, yep, I'd consider selling, right? Or yeah, here's my price, make it happen. It gets input into a CRM system. We use Podio. There's many great ones out there. And then our sales managers, right, that are live and local here in the States and in Washington or California, they take it from kind of cold or warm to hot, right?
Okay. Yep.
And once it's hot, and they're really ready to talk finalizing terms, that's when I get on the phone and talk technical details, right? Nice. And get it closed, right? I'm not good at all this stuff before the technical details. I'm really not.
Nice.
It takes a lot of
know yourself.
Yes. Listen, I've done it. It's grueling work. It's not for me. But I think you have to do it in the beginning. I've done it. I've done the full sales cycle because you kind of have to. How can you reasonably pass off a task and delegate a task you're not comfortable with? You can't. Agreed. Right? Agreed. You have to get comfortable yourself, even if it's a grind. It feels like a grind. It is a grind. But I've obviously done the full sales cycle completely on my own before I passed it off to someone. Right. Yeah. So that's generally, the high level, that's what's working best for us is getting on the phone with these folks.
Yeah. And again, there's lots of ways. So again, kind of going off market, folks, what that really means is this is stuff not in the MLS, right? No listing contract has been signed, at least in most cases. You may bump into one here and there, but that's not the target, right? The target is owners that meet a criteria. So something I've brought to my channel, I don't know what you use. There's again, lots of applications. I had PropStream on couple of months ago, maybe 6 months ago. Sure. They have a playlist. They gave me a link, but that's what I use. So something I did is I created a target, right? So mine was 60% equity or more, because I'm actually looking to do a 50-40-10. I don't necessarily need the whole thing to be financed.
Okay.
I have a non-QM lender that will come in at first. I will have the seller come in for a second. Not that I won't do full seller financing, but I'm just trying to increase my target market. and then I only have to bring in 10%. So
Hmm.
I'm looking to do all my seller finance deals with 10%, 51st, 42nd, at least at a minimum. And so 60% equity, duplexes through quads, right? So I'm looking at a very target market. I'm testing this out in one city, Madera, California, and I'm doing postcards, right? So this is just a quick rendering, right? Basically saying, hey, housing crash coming, try basically jumping on the fear bandwagon.
Sure.
And then I'm talking about how would you like seller financing? Lock in your profit, maintain consistent income, lower your taxes, and less stress and headaches. So again, you could do cold calling. I haven't done that yet. My office in Fresno has a virtual assistant, so maybe we'll do that. But I'm trying postcards just to see.
Yeah.
But again, you got to reach out to. The only difference is, I consider reaching out to owners, not sellers. A lot of wholesalers. I'm marketing to sellers. No. This starts with an owner. They own the building. Let's have that conversation, and then maybe they become sellers. So, what do you think of that?
I think it's right on the money. I mean, like I said, I'm not good at having the patience required to take it from an owner discussion to a seller discussion. But
when they come to you, they're sellers.
Right. When they come to me, they're sellers. Right.
Got
By
it.
the time they get to where I sit in the funnel, they're ready to sell. Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's a discussion I can have. But my partner and my sales managers are great at having the owner discussion. And that's what it takes, right?
Yeah. And what I have seen, and it'll be very interesting to see if this changes over the next 2 years. Rough and tough. It takes about 12. I don't know. I call them conversations. You can call them whatever you want. Kind of 12 iterations, right? This whole notion of a one call close is sexy on YouTube, but it's almost never a one call close.
Especially if you're dealing with a $10 million asset. You think you're going to close that over the phone in an hour? No.
No, it's not going to
No, these people don't know you. They don't trust you. Like,
yeah, what are you thinking? Yeah. So it's about building that relationship. And that's why I clearly delineate owner versus seller, because it's a different mindset. It's a different conversation. And that's why a lot of people, because again, I own some stuff and people call me all the time, and they're always treating me like a seller in the first phone call. I'm like, click, block. Yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Right. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. So how many of those postcards are you sending out, Michael?
I think we're doing, so the list I have is 832. We're sending out 832 2 times, 3 weeks apart is our first test.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah.
I send out mail as well. Right. I do honestly, we've tried everything. We've gotten deals from SEO and pay-per-click advertising online. We had a website. It's no longer up because we focus now more on cold calling and mailers, but it was called sellmymobilehomeparks.com.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Why not?
I mean, I closed 2 deals from that. We made a few $100,000.
Oh, is that all? I'm just kidding. The key is consistency, right? So one of the guys I'll interview him next Sunday, Jason Pritchard's the best investor in Fresno. He has been remarkably consistent up or down. His deal flow never changes. He closes deals recently that the first touch point was 4.5 years ago. Right. And we just never know. That's the beauty of the whole, it takes 12 conversations and why your partner has to build those relationships. Because when you get involved, it might be like 10 days to close, but it's probably been years of touching and follow up and reminding and, the whole relationship building. So it's fun. Consistency wins. For sure.
It's honestly, it's a little bit like, I think as a professional investor, you can also appreciate, the thrill of gambling. And so honestly, investing in some of the owners that we talk with, investing the time and energy, and effort in creating and maintaining relationships and trying to honestly, genuinely add value to their lives somehow. It's kind of a gamble, right? Because most of them don't work out, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like dating, right? A lot of these things won't go anywhere. Yeah, and they're just bad dates. And
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's I have the cool thing is if you are consistent. I mean, I get email responses about roughly once a week of people that I've mailed to 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and they keep the letter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
cool.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So again, if you're going to be in this game, if you're looking for seller finance deals, you can certainly do them online, or meaning on the MLS. Absolutely. You have an extra layer of educating the seller's agent, which can be done. We talked a lot about that yesterday. But yeah, sometimes you got to go direct. I use PropStream to generate the list. You can skip trace with that. You can actually mail postcards right out of it, but you can use anything. There's lots of options out there. Any kind of closing thoughts on this?
I just want to add to that, I actually use PropStream as well, but it's important to get creative with additional data sources, and creativity happens as you're working, right?
Yes.
So you can't just sit down and be like, give me ideas. No, you have to start working on it and ideas will start generating. But we look at interesting tax records. We look at interesting health department records. We look at, we have title companies send us data. So I certainly use PropStream, and just make sure that you're considering other data sources, right? Because not a single system is perfect.
Gosh, no.
There isn't a perfect system. There's holes in every system. Yeah. So just, my recommendation is at the front of the funnel. Start working on it. Start thinking about the data, managing the data, manipulating it.
Yeah. Do you do, I think they call it lead stacking or whatever that's called, where you just.
Yeah, we do some of that for sure.
Yeah. This is a lot of fun, folks. Again, a lot of opportunity with seller financing. I've been very clear the last 2 or 3 months. I think this is a skill that you need to skill up on and learn. Since I'm investing in it, I'm bringing you along with me. Jan, where can people find you?
Find me on Facebook, WAREI, Washington Real Estate Investing. We have a sweet Facebook community for investors in the Pacific Northwest and nationally.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks again for your time this Sunday. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good one, Michael.
Yep.